This is a great, great country. It's the greatest country there's ever been because it was created and founded and led by the greatest people that ever lived. Now, it's being run into the ground by scoundrels, thieves, and criminals. God help us. We have got to get back to the founding principles of what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And what's happening to Mr. Trump right now is dead wrong.
America deserves to crumble and fall within for everything that it has done. And not to quote a scripture, it says, "Woe to them that build a city on blood." And the entire United States of America was built on blood, and it needs to be destroyed.
There's no way to escape the consequences. Okay, I didn't do this to you. Your ancestors did this to you. Your own ancestors did this to you. Your ancestors and your leaders today, your media today, your schools today. Like I said, recognizing and acknowledging the reality of what your ancestors really did and what they really were, and yes, who they really worshiped, understanding that is just the first layer. And as soon as someone accepts this reality, that layer, they just accept that. Then they'll jump immediately to, well, how do we make a change? I'm not like my ancestors. Isn't that good enough? How do we make a change so that we can avoid these negative consequences? Because they haven't accepted that second layer, that most important second layer, which is that the consequences cannot be avoided, cannot be evaded, cannot be resisted, and cannot be defied. The punishment is already underway in America. And like I said, at least one element of that punishment is madness. This is the toll of your history. That's what this is. This is the devil taking his due. Don't you know your own folklore? Don't you know about the devil taking payment in the form of your progeny? Those stories don't come out of nowhere. It's the story of your so-called civilization. Your ancestors sold you out for the sake of pomp and splendor in their day. They sold you out so they could sip their mint julep tea on the veranda of some great plantation house in the American South, while human beings were being whipped and being raped and being treated like animals. They sold you out so that they could have their steal their land and have their homesteads and their farms and their ranches soaked in the blood of Native Americans. They sold you out so that they could have the minerals and the oil and the gas and the gold and the diamonds from all around the world, from all around the global South, when colonized people were the ones digging those resources out of the earth for them, and then they themselves got buried in those same holes. That was the bargain. That was the deal that your ancestors made. You know, everyone thinks, or everyone says that.
Now, today, white people in America are noticing that everything that they ever subscribed to, everything that they ever did was wrong. And they're just coming to this realization. They're just coming to learn that America was great. But every time people come and say that before or initially America was great, there's something that they don't get. They don't get one thing. They don't get that the greatness of America was being run by the same people that enslaved black folks. And so today, the widespread suffering that is going on, the widespread suffering is going on because it is massively and it is happening to like majority of people. So whatever we are seeing happening right now, it is something that has been there, and black folks have lived this reality. The only difference is that right now we are seeing white people going through a difficult moment, going through a difficult time, and now they're calling this out. Now they're trying to, talk about this. But initially, when it was black folks who were going through difficulties, they were never talking about it. Well, in fact, they made it look like black people were just lazy. They made it look like black people never just wanted to work. And the reality of the matter is that there's so many truths that they decided to keep silent to. But now when we are saying things going wrong for them, now when we are saying things happening to them, that's when they're learning that America is not in a good shape, which is true. America is not in a good shape. But when black folks try to tell you this before it went massively, when all the elite group played you, you didn't listen to them. You didn't care about listening to them. But what are you seeing right now? What you're seeing right now is as a result of failing or remaining complacent to the wrong things that were happening. So when a white person comes, or white people comes and say that make America great again, they means that they miss the days when they were the ones who had the privileges when other groups of people never had the privilege. So you get to understand that it is really different now that this is something that is affecting different people. Now they're getting to see the reality. Now they're getting to see that now this is something that is affecting different people. Brothers and sisters, I don't want to say much. I want you to watch this video, and then I'll be back. I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. So let's watch the video. I'll be back.
America was built on stolen land by stolen labor, yes, but I'm telling you that there's no such thing as stolen land. There's no such thing as stolen labor. There's only borrowed land. There's borrowed labor, and eventually you're going to have to pay for it. And your payment is coming due. There's no fix. Because when you think about trying to fix things, what you really mean is trying to figure out how to put off the inevitable consequences, and that's not going to happen. You can forget about that. You can't vote your way out. You can't policy your way out. You can't march or protest your way out. You can't virtue signal your way out. You can't even reparations your way out. The bill is due, and payment will be taken, one way or another. And as I say, payment is already being taken, right now. I'm telling you, the fate of America is sealed. And it was sealed over 400 years ago. You're just now reaching the end of that contract. You know, I said some time ago that Trump was actually hated in America and Europe during his first administration, everyone knows. But he was actually popular in the global south. Around the rest of the world, people liked Trump. Arabs liked him, Asians, Africans, South Americans generally. Generally speaking, he was actually popular with the countries in the global south. Even China likes him, despite the performative rivalry. And I'll tell you why. Because we all recognize that he is the embodiment of the devil's due. Trump being appointed over the United States signaled to the rest of us the end of American empire. Now don't blame him for that. Like I said, it isn't happening because of Trump. Trump just proves that it's happening.
The most honorable Elijah Muhammad says, America is falling, her doom is sealed. Now, I'm serious. I don't understand why black people trip so much on the fall of America. What are we going to do? Don't you know we already at the bottom? Now, just think about that for a second. When the Dow Jones reports that it's down 12 points, what happens to your account? Nothing. When they say that we're not even on the board with them. So why are we so concerned with Allah's hand of retribution, chastisement and judgment of our enemies when we're already at the bottom? Don't you know that if you are already at the bottom and an object that is big is falling, it ain't for you to cry and be concerned with the fall. It's for you to step out the way so it can fall and not land on you. That's all we got to do is step out the way of the fall of America. We already at the bottom.
For those of you that don't understand how truly awful the US has become, I'm going to put it into perspective for you. I saw my aunt yesterday and she told me a story that absolutely blew my mind. And it's really hard to tell me a story about the evil that America is right now that surprises me. But this surprised me. It's on another level. So my aunt is a realtor and she had a client in the past that she sold a second farm to. He is a farmer and he raises cattle, making an honest living, and so his original farm wasn't big enough for all of his cattle, so he had to get a second farm. And then his wife got pregnant and then a medical emergency happened. So basically the baby was born extremely prematurely and the wife almost died, but that's a separate issue. And so I want you to guess. I want you to formulate a number in your head about how much you think it cost for that baby to be in the hospital for 4 months because it was a premature baby. Take a minute, think about it. $900,000. Almost $1 million. What small business owner, farmer has $1 million? So now he has to sell his second farm, he has to sell some of those cattle, and for what? So his baby could survive. America, right? So pro-life, huh?
I have a feeling that the entire system is about to die. America was built on the systemic oppression of people of color, the blood of Native American, the labor of immigrants and African Americans, capitalistic system that does not benefit the people of the country. And I believe that the cries, the scream towards conservative ideals are pushing us towards this new change. They're trying to hold on to the systemic oppression that America was built on. But we decided that we believe in freedom and liberty for all and diversity. So therefore, that can no longer stand. The Epstein file, the victim speaking out, is showing us that from the top to the bottom, people are corrupt and this system needs to fall down. The war in Iran, the majority of people do not support the destabilizing of other countries. When the oppression system breaks, they don't just break, they burst. And I feel as though this is the breaking point. The final screams, the final cries before the system actually breaks down to be reborn.
America is not what it once was.
Oh, but America was never what it once was. That's the big reveal. That's the final lesson learned of the crumbling empire, when the people within it start to acknowledge that all the flowery stories, the highfalutin ideologies, the heroic tales that they grew up being taught to identify through were always just lies, were always just propaganda crafted by the ruling class as an excuse for their own existence, as a motivation for the peasant folk to continue soldiering on and carrying the weight. You're part of something greater than yourself. And you're hardly alone in this lesson. I mean, one of the most common tactics utilized is the appeal to a return to the good old days. Basically, every generation of samurai fetishized some previous generation of samurai, where men had real honor and things were the way they should be, and those were the real samurai. Countless Roman emperors and politicians and generals committed countless atrocities in the name of returning Rome to its former glory. Everybody's chasing a return to the good old days, but the thing is, there was no good old days. It's all just an echo of a thinly veiled lie told to keep people in line. The Roman Empire were never superior people. The Catholic Empire were never really doing the work of God. The British Empire were never really bringing civilization to the savages. And the American Empire, which is really just kind of a corporate consumer capitalist empire wearing an American hat, were never really fighting to spread freedom and democracy and peace throughout the world. They were all doing the same thing, really, which was taking things that didn't belong to them by force, and then making up a bunch of stories to make themselves the good guy while they did it. It's a tale as old as time of the strong taking advantage of the weak, of the lucky bully that found themselves at the right place, at the right time on the world stage, and were able to transform that moment of luck and prosperity and strength into a dynasty built on a foundation of lies and violence and deception. Now, I will admit that this current iteration of ownership class have been particularly crafty. They have learned lessons from previous mistakes. See, rather than trying to glorify themselves as noble elites chosen by God to rule over you, they've glorified the system by which they rule, the free market capitalist economy and the sacred democracy, and don't think it's a coincidence that people have been conditioned to conflate the two. They've taken a global economic system of control and oppression and transformed it into an ideology, nearly a religion, and it's written into the ideology that the system is synonymous with freedom and prosperity. That way they get to hide in plain sight as job creators, as innovators, as men of industry whose tendrils spread throughout the world, across borders, globally, through invisible economic means, insulating the empire itself from responsibility from the damage being done in its name, for the slave labor and the blood spilled and the theft of resources, for the necessary evils required for this empire to be able to grow and prosper.
Growing up is realizing that we are the Fire Nation. We are the evildoers. We are the citizens existing within an empire that causes all of the pain, suffering, and harm that the world sees. Our empire is strictly based on consumption and the idea of wealth generation. That's why to some people it doesn't look as bad, right? But we are beneficiaries of a lasting empire, of colonialism. Look at all the stuff they tell us to buy and consume. Guys, where do you think they're getting all this stuff from? This is how a colony works. If you want me to be 100% honest, the United States is the most successful colony in human history. It is so successful because we have forgotten that we are even a colony. And not only have we forgotten, but we are wildly successful. The United States began as an investment opportunity, right? And it has remained an investment opportunity since its inception. And now we are simply living in an after effect of that. We are an afterthought in this nation. People, the oligarchs, the capitalist class, they come here to flip their money. They come here to buy and sell goods. That is all we are to these people. We are goods. We are consumers. Americans are consumers before human beings. God bless.
Responsibility to clean up this problem. You don't have a lot of time to wait 40 more years for a benevolent white president or a benevolent black president. That day is over. America is facing the judgment of God as we sit around this table. Look at the weather. Look at the world turning down on her. America is bankrupt. $13 trillion in debt. And if you figure Medicare and Medicaid, she's over $60 trillion in debt. She can never pay it. That's why she voted for $650 billion in armament, because she can't pay the debt. But she can bully those whom she is in debt to with fear over her military prowess. I'm here to tell you she's losing there too. Now I close. Our people need repair. Yes. We need repair from 310 years of chattel slavery, where black men were forced to be studs, to make black women pregnant, to make more slaves for the slave master. And that same unhealthy attitude of misusing our women and making babies that we have no desire to take care of is still with us. Willie Lynch, who gave the ways that we could keep being divided so that they could rule us for 1,000 years. That sickness is still with us. Yes, we got a black president, but brother said it was confusion. He confused the issue. But really, he never wants to lose the white vote. So if he loses the white vote, he don't care that you voted for him. But if he loses the white vote, he feels he will lose. Dear brother, if you're watching, out of love,
That's right.
you won't lose the white vote of those whites that really understand this problem and know that this problem needs to be solved, and we can't keep relegating.
America is going to collapse, and it might not be today, but we definitely don't have 50 more years. It doesn't matter if Trump leaves office today. It doesn't matter what politician gets into office, because you can't put a Band-Aid on what was built broken. Putting a different politician in office is only delaying the inevitable. There are foundational flaws built with inside the system. And no one wants to admit it, but most of it has to do with institutional racism and slavery. We built our entire economy off of free and cheap labor. How long did they think that that was going to last? I mean, realistically, we have another 10 years max. If it wasn't for the pandemic, this could have went on maybe another 50 years. But because the pandemic put a strain on such an already flawed economy, it has put us back at least 20 years. It has taken 20 plus years off the American life system. It no longer can live. I mean, literally, there's nothing that can be saved. Nothing. Agriculture is going to die. I mean, look at what's happening with Nevada. The reason that Nevada's economy is going bankrupt is because it literally operated off of cheap Hispanic labor. Without cheap labor, they literally cannot have an economy. They cannot afford to pay white people to work because they know white people are going to demand a livable wage. Y'all can say whatever, but the entire system runs on defrauding people. I mean, just think about the prison industrial system. Another form of cheap slave labor. It's the reason why black people get arrested and convicted at higher rates than white people, because they need a class of people to abuse in order to keep the economy going. Our economy is systematically flawed. We are screwed no matter how many band-aids we put on it. There is no way that the economy won't eventually fail. So who cares if Trump is moving it forward? Because the slow burn is going to be a lot rougher than the immediate drop.
I hate to be the guy to break the news to you, but there's no coming back from this. There's no coming back from this. We are at the point of no return. When the President of the United States sues his own government and has his own personal lawyer as the Attorney General, who then awards him $1.8 billion to pay for insurrectionist traitors on January 6th, to pay for their legal fees, there's no coming back. We are absolutely cooked. Stick a fork in us. We are done. Because 30 some odd % of this country, maybe more, still love this man, would die for this man. And he just took $1.8 billion. There is no law, there is no statute, there is no standard, there is no procedure, there is no protocol, there is no court, there is no filing, there is no anything that is going to stop this. This is so blatant, so blatant. It is in your face every single day. This may be one of the worst, most blatant things he has possibly done in front of the American people as President of the United States. We're done. We're cooked.
America isn't special enough for God to judge us, right? I want to be very clear when I say this. What we're seeing occur in this country is the result of what has been allowed to happen in this country for centuries. Racism is a tenet foundation of America. Greed is a tenet foundation of America. This idea that, oh, we were never evil, we were never wrong, we were never this, that, and the third. You can't say that you were founded on biblical principles when you had to amend the Bible in order to get away with it. We could also say that America was founded on terrible principles because of the amendments. It was made for white men and white men with money. And every year since then, those same elites or those same people in that same economic class have been doing everything they can to solidify their position while also solidifying you as the working class. Think of the caste system that you learned about in social studies in 5th grade. You got the lords and you have the serfs, and that's what they're trying to reinforce again. So ultimately, what we're seeing occur in the world with COVID, with hantavirus, with all of that, none of that is a quote unquote judgment from God. That is the consequences of our greed, consequences of our actions. What did you think was going to happen to the sicknesses that we have when you're not looking to cure a disease? You're not looking to cure anything. You're only looking to prolong the life of the person suffering with. What did you think was going to happen when you allow foreign powers to be able to pay your politicians to create laws and government? What did you think was going to happen when having money makes you untouchable by the law that has been written? This isn't God's judgment. This is the consequences of the actions of the people who founded and have been running this country since its inception. What God did in Egypt was him reaching out his hand and actively making something happen, right? What we're seeing now is the further perversion of what has already been corrupted by us. Sickness and disease, cancers, all those things come because we're letting people dump stuff in our water, dump stuff on our land, dump stuff in the air, and that is getting in our bodies, causing all these different ailments. And then if you think radiation is only affecting us and not affecting these viruses to mutate, you're out of your mind. We've effectively pushed God aside everywhere and used him as a banner only when it serves us. and we honor him with our lips while our hearts are far from him. So if we want things to be different in this country, if you really want God to actually make a change and actually use his hand to do something, the Bible has clear instructions for that. 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sins and heal their land. God is waiting on us to humble ourselves and pray and turn from our wickedness. God is waiting for us to rectify the stupidity that we have put in place and purge all of the evil that we've allowed to go on for so long. And no, I don't mean purge as in let's go in and start killing everybody. It's a posture of the heart that needs to change within government, within local, within media, within every aspect of American culture. It needs to change. And in order for that to happen, people need to humble themselves and actually turn to the Creator. As far as what believers who are already saved need to do, we need to start being more active in participating in the American system to remove people who are using God as some kind of cover to go in and do evil things. More of us who are actually saved need to be participant in government. More of us who are actually saved need to be participant in local and federal government, as well as other positions of power. We need to take a hold of what God has already given us in salvation, in our understanding, and apply that for the betterment of the people who walk in this earth. But America is not special enough for us to be getting judged. The rest of the world is going through the same thing. It's just that we can't see it.
They warned us, America, and most Americans are not paying attention. Okay, the Super Bowl's over. That distraction is done. And I hope to distract you a little bit and bring your attention over to our monetary system. The average American makes $59,000 a year, which is about $4,900 per month. The average mortgage is $2,800 per month. The average grocery bill for a family of 4 is around $900. The average car payment, which is disgusting, is around $700 for a new car. If we take the mortgage, the car payment, and just groceries, that leaves us with about $330 left. We haven't accounted for gas. We haven't accounted for food for the kid, for clothes for the kids, or any schooling activities, or anything outside of those three things. The average American has 50% of Americans have less than $500 in savings. And the average retirement in America, retirement account is at around $96,000. We have to get out of the Coliseum and learn financial literacy. Wall Street has been dominating us long enough. And the reason why Wall Street has dominated, because we have not had sovereignty or access to the same markets they have, but now we do. And that's why there's so much distraction around crypto, Robinhood, GameStop, because they don't want the normal person to know that they can become a retail investor and take sovereignty of their wealth. But I'm here to tell you that's a new wave. And parents, that's what your kids are going to be doing. Stop telling your kids to go to school, get a job, and get a 401k and be enslaved to this debt monetary system. Teach them how money works by you learning how money works. Teach them that money is just debt. Teach them what good debt is and bad debt is. Don't show them that making $40,000 a year that you're going to go get a car that's $60,000 a year, $60,000, and extend it out over 78 months because you get a $700 car payment. Don't show them that. Say, you know what? I make $40,000 a year and I'm going to drive a hoopty. And I'm going to take that excess capital. I'm going to invest it in the capital markets and be a retail investor. And I'm going to take my money and multiply it. And I'll buy the nice BMW or the nice car, the $700 car payment when I have an asset that can pay for that liability. Us as adults right now, we need to wake up and develop financial literacy. This is a call to action for all Americans to wake up. This Coliseum is here, guys. The Super Bowl was an example of the Coliseum. The Waste Management Open in Arizona, they shut down the alcohol because people were so fucking sloppy at the tournament. Think about that. People were so fucking sloppy at the tournament, they had to stop serving alcohol. The Super Bowl was all about Taylor Swift. We're deep in the Coliseum. This is the Roman days all over again. Wake up. And most people are going to balk at this message, but the people balking at this are the people I'm talking to. You're the one that needs to wake up. It's time to become a disciple, which means discipline. Whatever's showing up within your physical reality means you're a disciple of it. It's time to build a relationship with God and do what Jesus did. He wasn't religious, he was relationship. He went from village to village teaching people how to be disciples, be disciplined. Disciplined in their mind, disciplined in their actions, disciplined in their faith. and build a one-on-one relationship with God. In America, it says in God we trust. That's bullshit. They've taught us to believe in man and material. And I'm here to tell you this is the greatest time in human history for you to become a retail investor, understand how money moves through the system, do the opposite of the 99%, and take your family to the 1%. Warriors, rise! Get your shit together. Love you guys. Remember, I will never proactively DM you. That's not me commenting. Do not send anybody pretending to be me money. I have to say this on every message. Like, there's so many scammers out there. The social media platforms won't do anything about it. This is my only account. I'll never ask you to send me money. I have tons of free resources in my bio. Check it out. Love you guys.
So hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you're watching this video from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Agent Stories. As I usually say, most of the time white folks fail to get it. White folks fail to see that they are the cause of this problem to begin with, because they put their elite in place. They allowed their elites to play all these games with them. By the time they're waking up, by the time they're realizing that all these things was wrong and what they're doing was wrong, now that's when they're learning that they made a great mistake. But now what they're doing, they're reminiscing those days when things were okay. They're reminiscing the days when things never felt apart. And you realize that America can never go back to where it was. I mean, I really don't know. I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong, but that's the reality of the matter. Because when we're talking about make America great again, or when people say that they miss those days when America was okay, America was never okay. Because to begin with, it ever enslaved black folks. So that's what America did. It did enslave black folks. So you're getting to understand from a perspective that when things are okay with white folks, there's nothing wrong. But when it's wrong with them, it is something that is being shared widespread. It is something that everyone is right now, trying to talk about this. But let's just be honest for a while. Majority of these folks, they felt good when black folks were having difficult times. They never wanted equality. So now when things are starting to go wrong with them, and now when the elites have played them all, when the elites have found a person who is escalating, who is catalyzing the fall of America, that's Mr. Donald Trump, they're now everywhere complaining about all these things without knowing that whatever they decided to do, or whatever they decided that they are going to be following, had consequences. And brothers and sisters, these are the consequences of not hearing, of not wanting equality, because big time they remain complacent to the sufferings of black folks. They never wanted black folks to have all these opportunities that they had, but right now they are having everything they wanted. But if things are changed, we are seeing them lamenting. We are seeing them waking up to the reality that America was great. But indeed, that's one question that I'm still asking, and I'll still keep asking the same question. If you guys are saying that America was great, that's just a question, right? If you guys are saying that America was great, this is the question that I'm going to be asking you. Why did you remain silent? Why would it be great when part of America, American black people, are going through suffering? And even to remind you that majority of you folks, you enjoyed all these things that came with the labor that they enslaved with black folks. You all did enjoy that, right? You did enjoy that. So I really don't know what you'll think about this, but it's really crazy. It's really crazy that this is something that people decided to keep quiet when it was happening. But right now that the suffering has been turned and now it's on their side, it is something what people talking about. It is something to raise alarm. Everyone now wants to talk about it. Everyone now is going through this economic difficult time. So for me, I find this so hypocritical. This is an hypocrisy of the highest order, because suffering is only suffering when you are suffering, but suffering is not suffering when black folks are going through the same difficult thing. But right now you're going through. Black folks been enduring all these difficulties that you've been complaining that you're going through. So honestly, I really don't know what you think about this, but I found it so unfair. I found it so it is so inhuman that now it is a matter to be talked about. It is a matter to be shared. But when black folks were going through the same thing, nobody was there to talk about it. So when you get to see the real hypocrisy of America, you get to understand what's really going on. You get to really see what's really happening or what's really going on. At the end of the day, it's conflict of interest. Now, since their interest is not represented, it is something that ought to be talked about by everyone, ought to be shared around everyone. So it is just crazy, right? At the end of the day, as I usually say, it is always the game of interest. So what we are saying right now, it's a game of interest. I really don't know. Because there was nobody to represent, or at least the few people that try to talk about this when black folks are going through all these difficulties. They were not there, or they tried to silence them altogether. I really don't know what you'll think about this, but please let me know what you think about this video, right? As you know, I'm your host and presenter Engineering Stories, but until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.